the Gathering Greenhouse, a podcast to help us grow together. I'm Steve. We got David and John here, and our silent partner in the back,
He's
Matt.
not silent.
Can we stop calling him silent? He makes so much noise.
He does make a lot of
He's
noise.
invisible, but he's not
Invisible.
silent.
Okay, visible
If
or
you're gonna
visible.
Say, if you're going to say silent, you got to say silent.
Okay, air quote silent. So John's back with us.
I'm back.
Where were you, John?
I was actually in the past trying to save Sarah Connor, and I'm back.
Were you successful?
I don't know.
Is that a Terminator reference?
Still here.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people think we're living like in a Terminator age because of all the stuff computers are doing. We're living in a Wall-E age and an idiocracy age.
I say idiocracy is probably the most accurate.
So accurate. Yes.
Prophetic work there. Yeah. No, my family had a baby. My wife had a baby. I was there for that. Do you say, if you're a guy, do you say you had a baby?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're part of it.
Yeah.
I didn't give birth, but I had a
two,
baby.
right?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, so I thought we'd break out something special here. I think David is going to hate this, though. These are called...
I love Oreos.
Do you? Okay, great.
show the camera.
I don't
show
know
the
if you're
camera.
going to like these Oreos, though.
I
They
actually...
look intriguing and very disgusting at the same time.
I had to ask somebody a while back because I couldn't remember. But when I was a youth pastor, I actually used Oreos as like a really important metaphor in building our doctrinal kind of how kids understood.
I thought you were going to say the Oreo is like a metaphor for the Trinity, and I got real nervous.
No, but I don't remember what the metaphor was. But anyways, I would refer to this metaphor a lot when talking about things like sanctification.
Especially this one, because
it's got three.
So much so that a couple of the kids in my youth group for Christmas one year gave me a tin full of Oreo cream. They went through package after package, just scraping the cream off because they knew how much I liked the Oreo cream.
I thought maybe they found like an actual, like you could buy the cream somewhere.
It would make a
I think there probably is somewhere you can. I don't know.
Maybe online.
Yeah. Have you had the Oreo Thins?
Yes.
I actually think they're better than Oreos, but you got to get the double stuffed.
Okay.
Oreo Thins, double
I don't know
stuffed.
if I've had the double stuffed Oreo
We're
Thins.
just acknowledging that the greater the icing to cookie ratio,
Absolutely.
the better it is.
That is correct.
Okay. So there's a few things about these ones. One, they're limited edition.
They're French.
Why are they French?
Are you just saying that based off the colors?
Yes.
Oh, okay. They are space
They're the
dunks.
same color as
I'm
the
not
French-
sure
as the
what
French
space
flag.
dunk is, but I thought Matt might know. Any idea what that is?
Might be something in Space Jam.
That's what I was wondering.
Oh.
Does this look like Space Jam?
I mean, it's space.
So,
Wait, didn't that movie come out like 2 years ago?
no, it's been longer than that.
The LeBron one?
I thought so, yeah.
So how old are these cookies?
No, they just
got a
came,
real good
they just
deal
came
on
out.
them.
Also, I did find a website where you can buy a 2-pound bag of
Okay.
the
So-
Oreo filling.
How much?
It is $27 for it.
That's not bad for 2 pounds.
It doesn't say
like
on
one
this
meal.
on this bag, but on the display at Kroger, you could win a ride to outer space with a purchase of.
Did you?
No, I don't want. I don't want to ride to outer space. I'll stay right here.
Win that.
I'll stay here. But if anyone else wants to,
Does it say round trip?
I don't know. I didn't read it too
Does
closely.
it just say ride to outer space?
They just leave you.
There's like a box
Elon
somewhere
Musk
that's just called space, and they're going to take
It's a
you there.
one-way trip to space.
Get in the
you
cannon.
could win a trip to space. But the thing that I thought was most interesting about these, and potentially most disgusting, is it's with popping candy in it. So there's a surprise.
Like rock pops?
That's what I'm guessing. I mean, it just says
No,
popping
rock
candy.
pops. What are those called?
That must be the outer space.
Like the stuff that killed Mikey because he ate them and then he drank the Diet Coke.
Which I'm a little disappointed that I like the Oreos where you can like open and reseal.
It's like nerd candy.
Let's see. Would you
I mean,
like?
they're not. They're kind of messy.
They are kind of messy. They definitely don't look as cool as the package. Matt, can I throw you one?
I'd actually be really concerned if I opened something and it looked as good as the marketing looked.
All right, so how are we going to eat these?
See, because I don't eat Oreos. I deconstruct.
You just eat the cream.
Yeah, and then I still eat the Oreo.
I feel like since we're
eat it how you
since we're judging
we
them,
should all do it the same way.
No, we should eat them as they were intended to be eaten.
As a cookie,
like
one singular cookie.
If you're going to judge it, you got to judge it on its own standard.
I think your first bite definitely has to at least be that.
It says there's 5 different designs, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah, that's true. So I got a star.
I have a star.
Okay, I have a star. I have a star too, but I got it's like a shooting star.
They all have the
They all have the classic, I think, on one side.
I've got rocket ship.
Here's a space helmet. There's like
so you have a shooting star?
I have a shooting star.
I have a shining
star. I saw yours look different. Looks like the star that rose over.
Do you have like cream escaping through your star?
Yes. Yes, I do.
If I squeeze, I wonder. Oh, I broke it.
smells just like a.
I'm going for it.
It's an Oreo.
There's something else in it.
Oh,
I can feel it popping.
I can hear it. I can't really feel it, but I can hear it. No, now I feel it.
If you get a little bit in your mouth.
Oh.
Interesting.
Kind of fun.
This is a waste. Like,
it's a gimmick.
It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have an Oreo because now I'm annoyed by the sound in my mouth.
I want just some of the cream.
I always forget how much I like Oreos.
The cream is kind of crunchy. It's got because it has a pop. Roxanne, if you just eat the cream.
Don't tell anybody this.
Not bad.
I actually like Oreos better than I like Swiss cake rolls. Don't tell anybody, though.
No, we won't. Don't worry.
Anybody.
Your secret's safe.
You just did.
Your secret's safe.
We're going to cut this from the podcast.
It doesn't. I was expecting it. I can still hear the popping, but I was still expecting it to taste like cotton candy.
Can you hear the popping?
No.
Oh my gosh, I can hear it. That is.
This is quickly rising to worst podcast episode ever.
What? The best.
We say that every podcast.
The best.
But we now have devolved to popping candy sound and mics.
Okay,
that's called ASMR.
It's a whole genre. We might blow up on the internet because of this.
I think they just dyed the cream filling because it tastes very
that
similar.
Our audience doesn't care about ASMR. Is that what it is? You're pretty sure.
I don't know. You never know.
I'm pretty sure they don't care.
I mean, I'm not even sure we have an actual audience.
In general,
random people every week.
Yeah.
So what's the consensus
It's
here?
an Oreo. It's good. It's an Oreo.
It's a good Oreo. I don't know how I feel about the popping candies, but
It's a fun gimmick.
It's interesting.
Someone was creative.
It's a lot better than some of the other stuff we've tried.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some really bad stuff over
the bacon flavored stuff.
Bacon flavored was bad.
Yeah,
I promised my kids I would take this home to them.
No, they're gonna say this is the
excited
best Oreo they've ever had.
these.
All
right, I want one more before you.
Okay,
go
yeah.
then.
Take one more. I got plenty
this
here
for later. That's gonna be my lunch.
Okay. Feel free. Feel free.
It's a sandwich.
So I know we have some questions too, but
Is an Oreo a sandwich?
Oh yeah.
There's no bread. Does a sandwich have to have bread?
It's a sandwich cookie.
So it has to have at least a bread-like thing. So I would say a cookie counts.
Okay. All right. Oh, I had an alien. Mm-hmm. No, it's not an alien. It's just it's a spaceman. It's his helmet.
It's his helmet. That's what I thought.
It's Major
at first
Tom.
Too. It is.
Yeah.
So apparently.
He just gave the air quotes.
Air quote Matt.
The silent guy.
Oreo can be considered a sandwich cookie.
Well, of course.
I think we all knew that. Yeah.
Says Wikipedia.
Well, we know it's a sandwich
What's the difference
cookie.
between a sandwich cookie and a cookie sandwich?
A cookie sandwich is like cookies on bread.
crumble up the cookies.
So
if you were gonna make
put lettuce
that kind
on
of a
that and
sandwich,
mayo?
yeah, sure. All right, so if you were gonna make a cookie sandwich,
could be good.
what would you want the toppings to be?
Bacon
well,
for
of course,
sure.
Bacon, real bacon.
Wait,
bacon
what kind of cookie are we talking about?
Whatever you want, man. Whatever you want.
Oreos is a good start. Honestly,
I would do a peanut butter jelly and put a peanut butter cookie in there,
like a Nutter Butter.
or no, like a homemade peanut butter
what about
cookie.
like a Nutter Butter and grape sandwich?
That would be delicious.
I hate peanut butter and jelly. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I know that's anti-American.
Steve, off.
I know.
Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, he's not going to be back next week. Not after that.
I tried for a long time to I'm like, everybody likes these.
No.
And then I find I'm not a sweet and savory guy. It's just I don't.
You're just savory. You're a savory guy.
I need either savory or I need sweet.
See,
I don't like them together.
I love peanut butter jelly.
I wonder how many people though would
peanut butter banana.
Is Steve a sweet guy?
Peanut butter bologna.
Like, do I like sweets?
No, like how many people would just like?
Oh,
hey, you know that Steve Nuzzo guy? Is he sweet?
I think a lot.
Or would they say he's kind of savory? Or would they say he's kind of salty?
Salty, the songbook.
Ooh, can we dress him up as Salty sometime?
Hey, if Salty comes and visits the kids ministry, I will do it. He was part of my childhood. So
all right, I just heard it. We're bringing Salty back.
I'm bringing Salty back.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we move on?
Has Justin Timberlake done the Super Bowl?
Oh
yeah, he did.
What are you talking about? Oh, did he?
That didn't go well. Moving on.
So, I know we have some questions, but should we talk about the Super Bowl for a second?
Nope.
Don't talk about the Super Bowl.
Is that?
I didn't want to talk. I wanted to talk about the commercials because that's the best part.
So if
I missed all the Super Bowl.
Did you?
I have always jokingly, and this goes back 20 years, because like some of the kids who had me in youth group will confirm this. I've always kind of jokingly said the NFL is rigged, right? But just jokingly.
I believe it now.
But seriously, I mean, at this point, I think there's actually some credence to it. That was a horrible game. It was like the dress rehearsal didn't go well or something, and everything was bad about that game.
Went into overtime.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's like this game is so bad, we're going to give you more of it. Like neither team has 20 points at the end of regulation, so here's more.
Here's more of that.
More of what you don't want. Yeah, it's terrible. Can I be grumpy old man for a minute?
Yeah.
So this is my take, right? I honestly don't care about the whole Taylor Swift thing. I mean, I think it's dumb. The whole, blah blah blah. Everybody's mad about Taylor Swift being on the football games. I thought it was really poorly done. Who broadcast it? NBC?
NBC did, yeah.
I thought it was terrible that at the end of the game.
No, CBS.
CBS.
Sorry, CBS.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I thought it was terrible at the end of the game. They throw the winning touchdown. Yeah. Chiefs players are celebrating, and they cut away to Taylor Swift. Again, I don't care that Taylor Swift. I don't care about the whole Kelsey thing. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right, whatever. But let us watch the players celebrate. Right.
Yeah.
Biggest game of their lives. Let us watch the players celebrate. We don't need to watch a bunch of people we don't know. I mean, I'm sure everybody else knows who they are. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, it was like Taylor Swift partying, and then they didn't cut to the Chiefs celebrating. They would cut to the 49ers, all like depressed, and then back to like Taylor Swift.
Now I didn't know that. I didn't know that until this morning, because I literally, when they caught the touchdown, I like hit power, because I was I'm done. I was already falling asleep. Yeah. I'm like done, but our TV delays when you hit the power. It takes a couple of seconds, and so in that time between when I hit power, they cut to Taylor's. I was like, did they really do that?
Of course they did.
And then I watched the clips this morning and saw they went to the 49ers. It's like, I hate when they do that.
Was there like just a live stream of Taylor Swift the whole time, like no football, just react?
If they had done that, they probably had more views. Like,
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, they should have. Someone could have made
somebody
a ton of
not
money.
Do that.
I thought of that during, and I was like, man, they could have just have her reaction.
All right,
the whole time.
So legit question.
Yeah.
So 2024. Right? Multiple of 4, that means it's an Olympic year.
Yeah.
So now that the whole Taylor and Travis thing has run its course, who is she going to start dating?
Which
Olympic athlete is she going to date now?
I don't.
And why is it Michael Phelps?
I was going to say Michael Phelps.
But how would that get? He's not going to be in the Olympics.
No, he's going to be like a commentator, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, that doesn't help that much, I don't think. He needs to be an athlete.
I don't know a single Olympic athlete.
I don't either, but there's got to be.
Are the Olympics even relevant for people?
No. I don't think anybody's going to watch them anymore.
Yeah. I certainly didn't watch the last one.
I watched the last one, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, moving on. Once again.
You keep trying. That's admirable.
I'm trying. Okay.
I think when you went the whole peanut butter and jelly route, you just probably lost our whole audience too. Mm-hmm. Like I would have rage quit this show if I was watching and one of the hosts was like, "I don't like peanut butter and jelly."
What do you want me to lie to our audience here?
I would have punched my phone.
Is that what
I would have been so mad.
You want me to lie to people?
Well, no, but I mean, you don't have to say it. You don't have to bring it up.
We're taking applications for a new connection. So, Pastor, please.
It's maybe an unpopular opinion. That's all right.
Steve at the gathering.
Our next staff lunch is gonna be peanut butter and jelly
Uncrustables.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are pretty good.
All right, so let's ask some sermon questions.
They're still slightly frozen. All right, go on.
They are good.
Or in an air fryer.
I agree. Air fryer is great. Okay. Why are we doing a sermon series right now that has so much potential to be controversial?
Yeah. Like, this is the first time ever in my life that I've heard of people who are saying, I'm not coming to church because of the sermon series, right? And not a lot, but, just a few. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting take.
But I feel like we've had, I just looked at the connection cards. This is a stack of first-time guests. And I met a ton of first-time guests.
Oh, yeah?
And we had a ton last week. So
what a terrible time to come. Like, why did I come to this church for this sermon series? Yeah, maybe they'll come back. We'll see. Yeah. No, seriously, I think I would say we're not talking about anything that's not in the Bible.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's the starting point. But one of the things we want to do as a church is teach people not just what the Bible says, but how to live out what the Bible says.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, you're going to have to step into some of the messiness of life from time to time. Mm-hmm. It can't always be rainbows and butterflies because life isn't rainbows and butterflies. And so sometimes you got to step into the messiness. And we're doing that a little bit and saying, hey, let's step into the messiness. Let's really look at what the Bible has to say, but let's do it in a way that allows us to live our lives as Christ has called us to live. And so I think that's why we're doing it.
Okay. And I think it's applicable to what's going on today.
I think this coming Sunday might be one of the only times in my life that I will preach a sermon that has absolute application for every single person there. Uh-huh. Right? Most of the time, my assumption is what I'm saying has a general application for everybody, but the really specific application of this passage or this topic is for a segment of the people. Sometimes it's a bigger or smaller segment, right? I think this coming Sunday, what I'm going to talk about, there is very specific and clear next step application for everybody. Absolutely everybody.
Okay. Are you able to tell everyone what that?
Well, this is just the general topic is sexuality.
Okay.
Yes, because everybody is a sexual being.
Yeah.
You guys know the 80s song? We are living. Oh, wait, that's Material World. Never mind.
Hey, we're going to say Sexual World.
Yeah, it's like
the remix.
There's some version. 80s song that I'm. It's like not quite there.
Is it Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing?
Oh, no, and what we're not going to do is go down a list of is it this?
all of them?
Matt, read your playlist. I'm just kidding.
All right.
Okay. So, but like, are we concerned about the controversy?
Nope.
I think, okay. So when dealing with it, that thought doesn't come in. But the way you prepare for a sermon that has potential to have controversy is different than one that doesn't, right?
So what
or maybe doesn't have as much potential.
Yeah. So I think what I do, and this isn't terribly different, but there's maybe a small piece of it. When I'm thinking about how to preach a sermon, I'm starting with, okay, what does the Bible say about this, right? Yeah. And then I move into, okay, how is that relevant for us, right? Mm-hmm. And then it becomes, now how do I present this in a way that people understand what the Bible says?
Yeah.
And that they understand how it's relevant to them. And that's where I have to think about some controversial topics. The moment I say certain words or phrases, there's the likelihood people will turn me off.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out how can I communicate this without hitting that button that makes them turn off what I'm trying to say. Now, sometimes it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to say, you know what, I'm sorry. I know I'm going to lose you on this, but this is the way it has to be said. But sometimes there are ways to take an approach to a topic that allows you to maybe kind of sneak in through the window and say, now you're going to listen to what I have to say because I didn't say this thing that was really offensive to you. Mm-hmm. And then we can maybe, get to some of the biblical truth that way.
Okay. I think that's something you do very well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next question here is, when is it okay for Christians to get a divorce?
Yeah, good question.
So you talked about this on Sunday.
I did. Yeah. And divorce is one of those topics. It really does affect everybody.
Yeah,
like everybody can say to some place in their life that either they or someone they love has been impacted by divorce. And the Bible does speak to it, although probably not as clearly as some people think it does, but also not as unclearly as some people think it does. So I think the easy answer to that question, when is it okay? What was that the question? When is it okay?
Yes, for a Christian. We're specifically talking about Christian. Yeah, when is it okay?
So the first obvious easy answer is it's not, right? Because divorce is not a part of God's original plan. And God does not want anybody to go through divorce because divorce is bad for us. Yeah. Right? So I would say there's never an okay time. Now, having said that, the Bible does give some, places where it's allowable. And so that's what we mean by okay, and I think that's a good way to think about okay. But
on Sunday you explained it, could paraphrase so you can get me correct if not, that God allows for things that aren't necessarily in his design, right?
Correct. Yeah. I said God sometimes allows what he doesn't approve.
Yeah.
Right. And it's because we talked this through on Sunday. We're living in a Genesis 3 world, not a Genesis 2 world.
Right.
In a Genesis 2 world, everything is ideal, but in a Genesis 3 world, sin has infected everything. And so sometimes God needs to allow things but put guardrails on them for our protection. Yeah. And I think that's what divorce is. So there are times, and the Bible says this really clearly, that in cases of adultery, God allows for that. And I think that's because, and we talked about the oneness, right? When the two become one, and when one person decides to shatter that oneness, I think what God is saying is, if that person is unrepentant and that person is not willing to make things right, and see, then this person is not going to be held prisoner by that. Yeah, they're free to go out and restart their lives, because again, God's all about making the old new. Yeah. So in cases of unfaithfulness, that it allows for that. I think there's room for us to unpack what unfaithfulness means. I think unfaithfulness can sometimes take different forms. And at the same time, I would say just because someone's unfaithful doesn't mean you have to divorce them. There is room for grace and mercy and restoration and reconciliation. And I've seen amazing examples where I personally looked at a situation and said, this person is gone so far with their unfaithfulness, I'm not sure it can come back. And I've said to the other spouse, the Bible allows for you to walk away from this marriage for your own health. Yeah. And they said, well, no, I'm going to stick it out. And now that reconciliation has happened, and it's an amazing thing, because that's what God does. Yeah. I would say this, though, as a word of warning. If unfaithfulness is not on the table, right? So if I'm a spouse and I want to get a divorce, and there isn't unfaithfulness, then it's not okay. Right. Right. It's not okay for a Christian to pursue a divorce when unfaithfulness is not an issue.
Okay. So would we say that in that case, it's very important you get to know the person you're marrying? So would the work? I mean, it seems kind of obvious, right? Yeah. But is the work on that end, or is it like, hey, I made a mistake, maybe marrying this person that I didn't know well enough. Now I just have to deal with it.
Yeah. So a couple thoughts on that. Number one, of course, it's important to need to know the person, but I don't think that's the most important part, because arranged marriages do pretty well. Yeah. Right. So the thing to remember is, it's not about how I feel; it's about what I'm committed to. And if I've made a covenant with God and this person, then I'm going to be willing to work at it a little bit harder. Yeah. And I think that's important. I would say this. Sometimes people change in marriage, right? And I hear this fairly regularly. The person I married is not the person I'm married to. Like, they've changed over time. Yeah. The Bible actually talks about this. Paul actually writes about this. But it's in the context of, you have two people who are married who are not Christians. Yeah. And then one becomes a Christian. And what Paul says, and he lays it out really clearly and specifically.
Do not get a divorce.
Right. He says, look, you stay together. Yeah. Now, then he says, however, if your spouse who is not a Christian leaves you because of your newfound faith, you're free.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's not even a case of unfaithfulness. It's a case of there's been this change. I've come to faith in Christ. My spouse hasn't, and they want to leave me because of that. Paul says, if they leave you because of that, you're free. You can remarry on that. And so there's room for that. But the reality is, just because your spouse changes doesn't give you the freedom to leave them.
Right.
Because all of us change over time.
Well, and it's telling the Christian, the new Christian, that if your not Christian spouse leaves, it's not saying, hey, Christian, you're now a Christian, you get to leave because you changed, and they didn't.
Absolutely,
right?
You do not.
So in that, there's no just because you changed, just because they changed. That isn't ever condoned.
Yeah. And one of the things that Paul says is, it's the reason you don't leave is because it may be through you that they come to faith. Which, I mean, you can apply that principle to other situations where, maybe you say, well, my spouse has changed and they're not doing as well as I am spiritually. They're falling behind me spiritually. They're holding me back. I hear that a lot. My spouse is holding me back from being who I should be. What Paul would say to you is, then you absolutely shouldn't leave, because you are the primary influencer on that person, and your good influence should help to bring them along. So, yeah.
So, other than unfaithfulness, are there any other permissible things that for divorce? Yeah.
So, biblically, there's not any other ones that are laid out really specifically. But that's where I come back to what I said about, we can unpack unfaithfulness a little bit. Like, what do we do with abuse, right? Do we just say, well, so sorry, Bible doesn't allow for that? And I would say this on abuse. Number one, if you're being abused by your spouse, leave, right? Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily have to get a divorce right away, but leave. Get out, get to a place that's safe. The Bible does not want you to be in a place where you're being abused, right? So number one, get out, leave. Now, from there, work it out, right? It may be that abuse is a form of unfaithfulness. Like if it's something that has gone on forever, it's not changing, it may be that's being unfaithful. You're not keeping your vows that you made before God, right?
Yeah.
And so that may be a place where you as you process this, you say, you know what, I think that biblically this warrants, a divorce. I really think this is one of those things that it becomes a case-by-case basis, right? And you have to kind of unpack each case and figure out exactly what's going on. But I would say, even though the Bible doesn't speak directly to abuse, the narrative of the Bible is really clear that God is on the side of the abused. God is out there to protect those who are being abused. And so if you're in a relationship where you're being abused, get out, right? And then work out the details.
Okay. And I would say that, right, marriage counseling, marriage conferences, books. I mean, there's a lot of resources out there if you're questioning these type of things of like, hey, am I in an abusive relationship? Am I in a relationship that I need to seek guidance on? Like if you're feeling that, you should probably seek some answers,
Yeah,
in those gray areas.
I agree with that. Although I would give a little bit of a warning.
Yeah.
If you don't know for sure if you're in an abusive relationship, you might not be. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't want to minimize what a real abusive relationship looks like, because women or men who are being abused by their spouse, they know it.
Yeah.
Right. Now there are like the psychological things. Oh, I'm married to a narcissist, and I think that our overvaluing of psychotherapy has gotten a little bit off the rails, but there's always room to say, hey, let's go talk to somebody and see if we can work through this. Let's get another set of eyes on this. I think there's a ton of value in that, even if it's just we need to learn how to communicate better. Mm-hmm. We need to talk to somebody who can help us communicate, just learn some principles of better communication. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good discussion on that. The last question that I have is here, what is a deep dive? And then the follow-up is, why are we doing them?
Okay, so a deep dive is we're not talking about like scuba or snorkeling. Or have you ever snorkeled?
I have, yeah.
Do you like it?
Oh yeah.
John does not like it.
I don't like it, but I like it.
Fish.
I feel like claustrophobic whenever I have.
I could see that.
I love it. So last time we were in Mexico, we went on a little expedition. Like you get to pick an expedition kind of thing. And it's like, I'm going to go snorkeling.
Excursion?
Yeah, because I love snorkeling. So I'm like, I'm going to go snorkeling. And so we get out there and they get all geared up and we're getting into the water. And our guy says, no, by the way, you're not allowed to dive below the surface. I'm like, why am I even here at this point?
So you just had to
so you just have to stay on the surface and look down, and it's like the whole point of this is, made me mad. What were we talking about?
Deep diving.
Yeah, deep diving.
Which you weren't allowed to do.
Not there.
Surface.
Right.
Your surface level.
The other place you weren't allowed to do it was, we did a thing at Disney World where you swim with sharks at one of the water parks.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't dive. And I get that one. Right? They're like, just stay on the surface. Don't dive down to see the sharks. So a deep dive is something that we're doing. And we're at the end of this series, we're going to take 2 extra weeks and have a midweek teaching time.
Okay.
So it's going to happen on Wednesday nights. It's on February 28th and March 6th. And we're going to extend this series. So our series right now is called God's Plan for Sex and Marriage. And we're going to extend it by having these 2 extra teaching times. These are not church services, right? So, it's not going to feel like a regular church service. It's going to be a lot more teaching, longer teaching. But then we'll also have some opportunities for questions and answers. And maybe some discussion. So we'll see how that goes. But the 2 topics that we're going to address are, the first one on February 28th will be, what does the Bible say about what it means to be a man? And then on the 6th, we'll address the question, what does the Bible say about what does it mean to be a woman?
Okay.
And all the stuff you think we might address in those, we'll probably address.
Okay. So who is this? Who are we talking to? Is it everybody?
Everybody.
Is it everybody? We're not saying, hey, we're targeting this audience. We really think everybody. Is there an age limit?
No. I mean, probably nobody over 95.
No, I'm talking young. I'm talking young, like teenagers should come
up to parents.
Up to parents.
But, yeah, absolutely. I think this, anybody who wants to kind of dive a little more deeply into what the Bible has to say.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So would you then recommend anyone and everyone should come to it?
Yeah, I mean, for parents of kids, I mean, it's up to you to decide if you want your kids to be there. I mean, do you want to try to sit with your kids for an hour?
Yeah.
Right? Because, normally I preach about half an hour.
Yeah.
I'll probably teach for up to an hour at these.
Well,
now, but there will be childcare.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And will there be like question and answer too section? Okay, cool.
Yep, we'll have question and answer time. And then, maybe some back and forth a little bit. We'll see. Depends on how we're doing on time.
All right.
So, should be fun.
Yeah. Sounds like a good idea and a good time. All right. Well, thanks for joining us here on
You're in a hurry because you want to go eat more Oreos, don't you?
I don't feel like I'm in a hurry here.
He's like,
I feel like we've gone about normal length.
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure we have. Matt was our silent.
Remember that one
silent
time?
friend.
Remember that one time they gave us a clock?
Yeah.
Remember we had a clock right there and never came back.
No.
I think we made fun of it and they felt bad.
Matt confirmed with his slight head nod that we're at normal time.
All right.
A little under, but it's
a little under. Okay.
Normal is a fun word.
Yeah.
Normal-ish. Normal.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and there'll be more on these type of topics next week.
But no Steve.
But not me. I will be gone.
He gone.
Bye.